Alright everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil, and I want to share a little bit of information about Kyrotechs, and I don't know, I kind of am on the fence of if handing out more Kyrotechs would be beneficial for the game. I know a lot of you would think it would, and it's a very controversial take to say that I'm not sure it would benefit this game in a way that would be healthy for the longevity of the game and for the balance that exists between those at the top end of the game and those at the bottom of the game, because Kyrotechs play a very important role in ensuring that the growth that those players make is kind of consistent. Now, we'll get into this, but first and foremost, let's thank the channel members so much. So let's flip over here real quick. Let's thank the channel members for all of their continued support. If you're interested in joining, again, that link is down below. So to those of you on the council, you may not be granted the rank of Master, but you're still granted a special place in my heart. And of course, those at the Wampa and Jedi Master tier, I really appreciate all of you guys continuing to put your faith in me to provide you with good content. So, to show you just how much Kyrotechs have changed in the game, I have this chart here from Dexter's Lab 97. I've linked his Discord down below. I will not be sharing this chart in my Discord. You need to go to Dexter's Lab 97, his Discord. Link down below again if you want to see this. And this is an awesome sheet. It shows you each Galactic Legend and the overall gear that they need. You know, in a rough estimate, in the sense that, like, it's not going to show every little piece, but it's the primary gear pieces. You're looking at Injector Salvage, the Gear 13 gear, Carboni's here in dark blue, your purple being core gear, and then some other of those key gear pieces you need along the way. Then even down here, he broke out how many Carbonite circuit boards, signal data, the raid tokens you need to purchase. And where I want you to pay attention, look at the raid token Mark II. Look at this number up here. And then look if you take out Kyrotechs. That Kyrotechs are extremely expensive to purchase with Mark II raid currency. It's insane how many of them you need, how much of them you'd need to buy. Like, it's an ungodly huge number. So, obviously, just paying attention to the Kyrotechs, you can tell that every Galactic Legend has needed more and more total Kyrotech than those before them. Look at, now Jedi Master Luke with Jedi Knight Luke, need to take that with a grain of salt, that those Jedi Knight Luke characters, outside of our king, the Wampa, right? Outside of Wampa, our king. Let's just make sure that you guys remember. Outside of this dude right here, outside of the king, all those other characters, Darth Vader, Hermit Yoda, Lando, Chewbacca, Commander Luke Skywalker, Rolo, Captain Han, all of them are requirements for other GLs, whether it's Jedi Master Luke himself, Leia, you've got Darth Vader being an executor requirement, so they all kind of come back into play. C-3PO is a Jabba. They all come back into play. Those Kyrotechs do go to good use. So you got to take that with a grain of salt when you see the Jedi Knight Luke numbers. But when you add the Kyrotechs for Rey and Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, as good as these Lightspeed bundles were, the total Kyrotechs you need for those two characters would not get you the Kyrotech you need for Leia alone, Jabba plus Jedi Knight Luke, or Lord Vader. Just let that sink in, right? That is crazy to me. And it shows you how this game has continued to progress, that a lot of these characters just need significantly more Kyrotech as time has gone on, because they want that to be the current bottleneck. And when they first released Kyrotech, I wasn't even playing at the time, but I remember reading something where that's what they intended the new bottleneck to be. And for a while, that wasn't the case because they didn't increase the core gear. And so everybody was still struggling to get Carbonis and stun cuffs and stun guns. And so Kyrotechs were never this as big of a problem because these things were a problem. Like, you look at the Carbonis you need for Leia and the Carbonis you need for Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. You still need more for Leia, but not as many as you would think. You only need 650 more, which you think, oh, it's so much. But they doubled the amount of Carbonis you get from challenges and the stores and different events. So you can't really say that, or not from challenges, but they doubled it in everywhere else. That they doubled the gear economy, meaning that it's far easier to get more of these, so they're not as big of an issue. So requiring more of them, I don't think, is absurd. And if you look at Lord Vader, he needs just as many as Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. So yeah, just take that with a grain of salt there, that because of that change, Kyrotechs became a much larger bottleneck and became the bottleneck that they want. And they play an important role in that bottleneck because the time it takes you to get Kyrotechs is when you're building up your Injector Salvage, the Gear 12, your Gear 13 pieces that you need on that right and left-hand side. If Kyrotechs wasn't a bottleneck, those things would be. So they want you to to get to that point, you need to spend. And I think a lot of these issues with Kyrotechs have been extremely exacerbated by the light speed bundles where players are kind of moving at a rate that they're not really prepared for. So again, just trying to show you guys the foundation of Kyrotechs. Yes, it has been increasing, but they have added more ways to get them. Now, I want to flip back over to the game because I want to start explaining a little bit why adding more Kyrotech would be more beneficial to players at the end game. The more end game you are, the more beneficial it is. So what we're going to do is we're going to flip back over to the game here and sort of explain it like this. And this is why I say it gets, a little bit controversial. But if they start doubling the amount of Kyrotech, now I'm obviously very low right now. I've built a lot of Kyrotech heavy things and it's just been kind of crazy for me. So like I'm even in this state where like more Kyrotechs would definitely benefit me, but I'm going to really show you why. So here, if these were 30, right? If I was getting 30 of these every single time and you were getting 30 of them, I'm at the stage of the game where the characters that I am building require more Kyrotech than not. Think about when you're going to farm Jedi Master Kenobi. If you remember from Dexter's spreadsheet, you saw he doesn't need as much Kyrotech as Lord Vader or as Jabba or as Leia. And so all these new things, you think of Grand Inquisitor, Aphra, Cal Kestis, they need a lot of Kyrotech. But they don't have that many characters that are required for them. Like Grand Inquisitor requires more Kyrotech than Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. If you don't believe me, let me show you guys this website here. Let's go here. We're going to flip back over here. So this website's willgoevents.gear. You guys can go check this out. Let's move my fat face up here out of the way. So when we go back here, this is a really cool website. And so if I just get rid of that and I go to Grand Inquisitor there, to just unlock Grand Inquisitor, I need 1,050 of these and I need 2,000 total Kyrotech. 2,000 total Kyrotech to get Grand Inquisitor. That's just to get him, not even to gear him up or anything like that, right? Look at Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. Where is he at? Kylo, like we showed, needs, 1,000 here and 400. Where's it at? 400. Where are you at? Come on, I know you're down here somewhere. There it is, 400 of those. So 1,400 for Kylo, or 2,000 for Grand Inquisitor. But notice some of these other pieces in here, right? Look at your injector salvage. You need far more injector salvage for somebody like Supreme Leader Kylo Ren than you do for Grand Inquisitor. So the issue with, you give us more Kyrotech, but it's only going to benefit you when you're building the newest stuff. And again, Capital Games, that's what they want you to do, is build the newer things. But recognize that they can't really do that because they want you to, again, they want you to spend money at the end of the day. But just giving more Kyrotech is not the answer because it's just going to create bottlenecks from other things for players who need stuff that isn't quite as new as this. That if you need to go farm Jabba and you've got all the rest of his Rex, right? Yeah, they'll help you with Cores Light Leia and Skiffguard Lando, Fennec, and like Chrysanthemum, right? You'll get your Kyrotechs there. But all the rest of those injector salvage and the other Gear 13 gear that you need would become the bottleneck. And that would be a much bigger problem for players who are trying to farm Jabba compared to, say, someone like myself where I need a crazy amount of Kyrotech for Cal. Right? I need a crazy amount of Kyrotech for Cal to build that team out. But I don't need nearly as much of the Gear 13 pieces. And that's why I get nervous of saying that, getting more Kyrotech would be helpful, because if we just back out here, go back to the game. All right, let's move my fat face down here again. Oops. Let's move you. Oh, I didn't want to do that. I don't like that. There we go. I think that's right. Yeah. So if you give me more Kyrotech, that's going to allow me to build those characters who just need the Kyrotech as the bigger hurdle and not these things. That the less characters you're building who need more Kyrotech, the better just increasing Kyrotechs would be for you. And then think of your guys like Arnold, who are at the very end of the game. Kyrotechs really aren't a problem for them. But if they didn't have to, say, buy Kyrotechs here, you think of those players who wouldn't have to buy the Kyrotechs here, they'd be buying this gear. And you know why that becomes a problem? Because now they're going to be able to increase the relic pieces that they get here. And so where you would be using this as a newer player, right? If you got more Kyrotechs but they didn't increase this economy, you would have to be spending your time building these things, which you say, okay, that's fine, Phil, I'm okay with that. But it doesn't solve the problem of getting you to relics faster because this stuff exists. So, I mean, it would get there faster, but I hope you get my point there that I'm not entirely sold that the Kyrotech issue can be solved just by handing out more of it, because a player like myself is going to benefit way more from Kyrotech in this game because it's less characters I have to build in total, so there's not as much of that Gear 13 stuff I have to worry about, which would allow me to use resources to get to higher relic levels, which you'd say is a really good thing, and maybe that's what Capital Games eventually wants to do, but I don't think they're ready for that yet. They've been very, very particular with Kyrotech. I think right now they very much like the state that it is, that it's a, hey, you can get it for free, and if you want more of it, you've got to be spending money. I think that's fine, and I think right now we're just kind of in this really strange place where because of the light speed bundles, players have been equipping gear at a rate that otherwise they wouldn't have been. Because, you got that free Kyrotech, you're beginning to see what the, side of that is. Like, just look at myself, for example. The past few things that I've done over the past few months, we've gone from getting, high Kyrotech stuff here in Grand Inquisitor, Gideon, Aiden, Akbar, not high Kyrotech, Riva. Then we went in, did these characters, Rey. I've done a lot of heavy, intensive Kyrotech characters over the past few months. I wouldn't have been able to do that, but because I got, because I would have needed to, because I got these 7 characters where it wasn't even the Kyrotechs, but the gear pieces, right? Those relic materials, those Gear 13 pieces, because I'm able to build more of that, because Kyrotechs is my big bottleneck, I was able to make much more progress everywhere else. So, I don't know, guys. I don't know. Maybe I rambled a bit too much and I didn't at all prove that I think, getting more Kyrotechs, I think it would help, but I think we'd just run into another bottleneck that players would complain about. And I think it would really only help those building the newest stuff, that if you went back to go build a Kenobi or a Sith Eternal or even Lord Vader, compared to trying to build a Grand Inquisitor and Cal, you'd run into the bottleneck of the other gear. And then those players at the, like myself, who are at that later stage, we're just going to be able to build things significantly faster because we don't need to worry about farming Kyrotechs, and we can farm those other pieces that we would need more of. So, I don't know, guys. You let me know what your thoughts are. Again, huge shout out to Dexter's Lab for the amazing graphic that he has here. Again, his Discord's linked down below. But, guys, that's kind of just my thoughts on Kyrotech. I don't know. I rambled a bit, but you let me know what you think about Kyrotechs. Is this helpful? Again, like, subscribe, comment. Love all you. May the Force be with you. And I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.